everyone, BBD here, and I'm playing the Rug Delver deck in Modern. I basically took two Rug Delver decks, Alexander Hayne and Samuel Estradi's deck from the World Players Championship, and kind of took the cards that I liked from both versions and mushed them together into one deck. So this is that deck. I'm going to start here with the mana base a little bit. Rug Delver has like the standard mana base of Modern, where you have fetch lands to get the Ravnica shock lands to fix your mana. So we have 8 fetch lands, blue-green fetches, and red. Then we have 2 steam vents, 2 breeding pools, and a stomping ground to, these are the cards that actually cast our spells. And then we also have 1 of each of basic and then 6 islands because, as you can tell, most of our spells here are blue. As for the spells themselves, it's a typical Delver deck, so we have Delver, we have Snapcaster, we have a lot of instants and sorceries to go with it. One reason I really like Rug Delver more than Blue-White-Red Delver, which is the other predominant Delver deck, is because of Tarmogoyf. I really like Tarmogoyf a lot more than Geist of St. Traft. It's cheaper, it's bigger, comes down a bit earlier on the curve, and it's just all around a little easier to play with. And then we also have Vendilion Click, which just kind of does everything. It's a good evasive threat, it's a good... it can be good on defense too, and it's good in matchups where like your opponent is trying to combo you out or something. As for the spells themselves, we have kind of a suite of counters. Mana Leak's just kind of all-purpose. Spell Pierce and Spell Snare are both useful in that they cost 1, so they're really easy to use with Snapcaster Mage, and early in the game, if you have an extra mana lying open, you can use either of these. And they kind of do different things, so that's why there's a split of the two. There's a lot of powerful 2-mana cards in the format, like Snapcaster Mage or Cranial Plating or things of that nature. So Spell Snare is very powerful, but Spell Pierce is a little bit more versatile because it can hit any non-creature spell, whereas Spell Snare can only hit things that cost 2. Cryptic Command is an extremely powerful card, but because it costs 4 mana and we're only playing 21 lands, you can't run too many copies of them, so we're just playing 2. And then Deprive is just to have access to a hard counter somewhere in the deck. And this is like the cheapest hard counter we can play. And the drawback isn't that bad because, again, with only 21 lands, at some point we stop hitting land drops anyway. So picking up a land isn't that big of a deal. In terms of removal spells, we have Lightning Bolt and Burst Lightning. Burst Lightning is basically just shock most of the time, but that's actually good enough. And occasionally you can pay the kicker and just do 4 damage. So I really like both Lightning Bolt and Burst Lightning a lot in decks like this because they double as removal spells, but they can also just go to your opponent's face and end the game quickly. Unfortunately, because Ponder and Preordain are banned, the best draw spell is Serum Visions, but Serum Visions does have an upside in that it's actually pretty good for setting up your Delver to flip because you get to scry after you draw the card. So you can, you draw your card and then set up an instant or sorcery on top for Delver. Thought Scour kind of does a couple things. It's a good way to feed like Grim Lobomancer and Tarmogoyf, and it gives you an instant speed draw option for Snapcaster Mage. But other than that, like it's a fairly standard Delver deck, and it's a pretty powerful deck in the format. And I'm going to talk about the sideboard a little bit, and another great thing that playing green gives you is access to both Huntmaster of the Fells and Ancient Grudge and Firespout, but mostly Huntmaster and Ancient Grudge. Huntmaster is just amazing against various creature decks, and because this deck has so many cheap spells, it's very easy to, and most of the spells are instants, it's very easy to flip Huntmaster back and forth. So he can be like a huge house in those matchups. And then Ancient Grudge is just so good against decks like Affinity that you definitely want access to this card, and being green gives you that access. We have Pithing Needle, kind of an all-purpose card. It can shut down like a Splinter Twin combo, a Birthing Pod. It just can handle all number of different things. Combust is really good against like the Restoration Angel pod decks. It's also good against like Deceiver Exarch. Firespout is being played here over something like Pyroclasm because you can Firespout to just hit ground creatures and not kill like a Flip Delver or a Vendilion Click. And we also have Threads of Disloyalty, very good against other decks playing Tarmogoyf, basically, is the main reason for Threads. Surgical and Grafdigger's Cage are kind of a nod to some of the Life from the Loam style decks that are around. And Grafdigger's Cage also helps against like Birthing Pod. And then Negate's just kind of an all-purpose counter, just to hit like any number of spells. Like if you play against like a control deck randomly, or you hit like a combo deck, like any of the Empty the Warren, like the Storm decks, you want to have access to something like that. And there's one other card that I didn't talk about that's in the main deck, and that's Vidocq Shackles. And this card is extremely powerful and will completely take over a game if a game goes long. And that is one of the reasons that you want to play a lot of islands. And also, like, this is probably one of the most powerful cards in the deck if the game goes long. But this is Rug Delver, and hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate the deck for you.